Greetings. The when this was a revelation to me, the more things start making sense and get clear. But I just wanted to say, what's going on here when the church world sells books and teaches, it's always like a broken record because it doesn't have any spiritual understanding. It tries its best to understand of its own interpretation, private self, and it can't literally be done. It literally needs to be given from above, from our Creator and Messiah, or else we won't have it, with no exceptions. Zero exceptions. He won't allow it. Make sure His word is true. He's the one that gives. He's the giver of all things, the giver of life and the giver of death and destruction as a wage for sin. He gives and He takes away. He does all these things. Bless His name. And no one can actually do that with their heart when they're being taken away and murdered by this world constantly without the Father working in them. It just isn't possible. It hurts to see, but what people do, if they hear some words, they try to picture their life and mold it and put it into what the words they hear and say, this is how it's true for me. And I've seen this thing tried to be done, and it doesn't actually understand yet. What it did was false, trying to put its life into a certain picture. If it's an unbeliever still, people will try to do that. How can someone understand persecution for good works if they're not doing any? How can someone be receiving that fiery testing and judgment when they're still unbelievers, no matter what doctrine or words they say? That His people are sent fire and destruction, devils attacking, to test them. There's a reality to this, and someone not living in the reality can't actually put themselves in reality if there's no reality to it, So seeing this is also nasty too. Not because it's their fault. It's just that I just don't like seeing confusion. But the devil himself is a beast and the false prophet, and it's not, it's when we see what these works are, it becomes more clear what we read there in Revelation is that the devil is our father when we're sold under sin, and his works we do. So then that's all the messengers, the devil and his messengers, It's all one in darkness. To say the devil as an actual enemy or the person doing the evil is exactly the same thing, and both are true, So, what's interesting is if someone doesn't even believe in the devil at all as a real enemy, let's just pretend I didn't, but we actually would have understanding of what the devil is and what his works are. The teaching's exactly the same, but that's not my belief that there's not a real enemy. I'm just saying it comes out the same because it's all one as far as the teaching goes. Understanding is something different. But it's all one, just like the Father and Messiah and his people are one. Father and Messiah are one, and he prays that his people are one, just as he and so one in light, and then there's one in darkness, a father of light and a father of darkness. And what kind of father I put in there is not able to subdue as a punishment towards correction, chastising towards correction. The problem we see in this world in the harlot is that they quickly go towards something to protect their tradition and without seeking truth from the Father. So they'll say things quickly, you know, like because it's not in their timetable of 40 years, 70 years. You know, this is a very dumb thing to do ultimately, because that's like putting ourselves in place of the Creator, where His time is nothing like ours, where our time is like just a shadow. You could say it's something like, we can't put ourselves in His time scale of ages and long periods of time. Can't be done. We can't do that ourselves for real. But that's what is that's the works that are done when any given truth is like rejected and saying, well, the Father's gonna, you know, torture people for all eternity. He's not able to subdue, chastise, and correct, which is a very important thing. So, you know, we could read like bastard, fatherless, speaking of our Creator. Well, He's got bastard children forever and ever. What kind of father is that at the end of the day? That even an earthly father is an abomination if they leave their kid in a dump or in a hot car and let them die and rot forever, you know? Or we could see the wages of someone not knowing their earthly father, right? What is the wages of that every single time? A specific judgments, confusion, and destruction within the family. It's obviously bad. The works are always the proof of some kind of sin. There is no reward for that. Now, someone could say that. I say they can maybe go against it or whatever, but it's not going to change what I see, you know. I mean, and if they're honest, no one has seen good rewards and works for separation from family, you know. It's always some kind of messed up situation. So then the father is looked at as like someone that doesn't want to have anything to do with it because it's responsibility, shame, doesn't want to admit problems, leave me alone, I don't care about that kid or whatever, I haven't seen him since he was 5 or 7 or 10. This is looking pretty bad for the earthly father, not even wanting to take responsibility. I mean, how much more would that be true for our Creator? This is why we even have these natural pictures. It makes everyone a hypocrite that goes against truth. Because then an earthly father, or, you know, this situation, someone could say, well, that's not good. Yeah, this dad is doing this and this, and it's all, yeah, what about the Creator, though? You saying he's less than an earthly dad? You know, it's pretty amazing. So that's why I mentioned the time scale. Is if the end result is correction, what does it matter what the time scale is? That's like to be a god in your own mind, to take the place of the throne of the Creator and say, because it's not done when I say so, it will never be done. And then this is who the Creator is. This is an error as bad as it gets, you know. They forget about the ages to come, and that day is like 1,000 years for the Creator. What's a couple days of not having sons, you know, being corrected and chastised for Him, so that He can show all these other things in the meantime, and His power and His judgments and everything else, and show mercy. No mercy to those that have it instantly, never went through any darkness, right? How do you show mercy then? You can't. Literally can't, right? So all these other things aren't considered either when the harlot speaks of its God's judgment, you know, and says it cannot subdue and correct. Although it is correct, He is correcting His people and always has been, you know, now in the generations in the past, everyone in Messiah, how come He can do that with them but not others? Because it has to do with choosing Him and free will. This foundation is built on a sand, and it's lies is sand, you know, it's like connected. Whereas a rock is true and steady and never lies, changes. The sand, they build a false foundation, and then every other dark doctrine is connected to it like a bad tree. To expose one bad branch as bad, it will start shattering and breaking all their other doctrines. This is why someone would get real angry. Even not understanding how this works the way it needs to be, the result is the same because that's the reality that happens. Even if they don't have to even think about it. Truth starts attacking all the other branches and doctrines inside someone that it falsely believes. And then the opposite of this would be installing a bad branch in someone, and it attacks anything that's good and true until it's corrupted. It's either going in that direction or the other, towards truth and light. So at the end of its life, it will either have been perfectly corrupt or perfectly righteous because of the Father's righteousness, purging out all the wickedness, burning it up, stubble. I don't see anything else. A lot of things could be said to counter anybody that teaches lukewarm doctrine. They have to also disregard and not believe dozens and hundreds of scriptures throughout that constantly teach there is no lukewarm that stays lukewarm. It's just the two things only, light and dark, good and evil. And if it's lukewarm for real and wants to do this kind of thing, it quickly moves into the darkness and doesn't stay there very long. And so then there is no tree that's like in between good and evil, just one of those two only. And it has to deny very simple scriptures. When you give a little bit of meaning and then throw in 3 examples, 4 examples, all pointing towards the same spiritual thing, very simple scriptures have to be denied when it's a lie. And when something's true, not a single word has to be denied or run from. Never run from a single word. Not afraid of protecting doctrine that comes from religion, self, traditions of men. Not afraid of that, because already showing evidence. He's shown me evidence. He's showing other believers evidence that there is an answer for everything, and that his word is not and cannot be broken. And so if we don't know something, we're okay with saying, I don't know, confident that there is an answer and understanding. But see, I don't know is not acceptable in religion. I mean, this is about as backwards as it gets. You got to start from nothing, and then you start growing. What does a seed know? It's not even alive yet. It's like a seed. It's like that seed that gets planted and it sprouts a little bit and it acts like it knows everything. Yeah, but it's not even a giant tree yet, which is way bigger than what it was, meaning it knows way more also, more wisdom, more understanding. And now this little thing that sprouted is saying we know, and it's abomination to have any evidence for growing and change and saying I don't know something right now. This goes against growing in Messiah. What do they say that means in religion? I'd love to hear it. And yet again, I wouldn't want to hear it because I know what to expect. Never will deny that people can say right words. This happens actually quite a bit, where they take something that's sort of carnally true from scripture, but they apply it to like sports and religion, and it has nothing to do with spiritual things. But it looks like something. It sounds like wisdom. And there is no perceived wisdom or understanding of what it's saying, of what it really means. So growing and testing in sports and adversity and suffering and, I'm so down and can't stand that we lost this year. This is all nonsense. The devil takes whatever is true and gives a false carnal meaning to it, and that's all it understands. No, that's not growing and testing and learning. It has nothing to do, zero, with whatever that really means. Going through a lot of testing and fire and adversity. When it comes to real things, nobody wants that. Nobody wants everybody to hate them and not believe them. So then it's 180. I mean, that's about as backwards as it gets. Although there's words that are said that are right, it sounds like some kind of wisdom, and this is the false knowledge, so-called. That word's knowledge, not like just knowledge in general, not science as in people with glasses and a coat. Just the false knowledge of the devil, worldly wisdom of the devil, taking something that's good and destroying it by giving a lie for its replacement and definition, and then whatever someone believes, they live that lie inside. If this wasn't so, we wouldn't have to purge out the leaven, old leaven. Well, the apostle mentions that law, seeing that he can see when that came, he saw what that law meant spiritually. If it stays inside, it will be corrupt for real. Its works will be corrupt. It really does have to get purged out. There's a lot of crap to purge out, It might be a sign that when someone eats something, the garbage comes out. Take what's good. You can do this through darkness too. You can take little bits of worldly wisdom in darkness, pull it out, and understand the spiritual meaning of it that the darkness doesn't, and then dump all the rest. That's what we have to do if we come across it. We take darkness for what it is as a whole without rightly dividing and separating, then we just swallowed a lie, guaranteed, because it never has any true. That's a whole truth, teaching a spiritual truth from the Father. It can say right words. It can't say right words in its heart, which doesn't look like words coming out of someone's mouth. Right words said in the heart looks like works, what's actually done. That's what he's been showing me. So we use words to speak of what the heart is already doing. So this is why people will say, I never said that, I didn't do that. Not talking about what they say ever. I'd see that more clearly than I did even a few weeks ago. These words that come out of Messiah's mouth, for example, is speaking of works that the heart does as facts. But he's not speaking of what people say, and then that's the teaching. It could have something to do with that here and there. That's not the teaching. It's not the thing at the top, the valuable thing we need to know. It's only talking about what people's hearts actually do. And when we talk about what people's hearts do, what they say slips off like, I don't know, some kind of something that looks like it's slipping off of something. It's like melting away. When Messiah speaks of the actual works with words, what the people say is worthless, because he's talking about what they're actually doing and their intentions, not what they're saying. So they always say Messiah is a liar. Yeah, we're not that. Aren't we right that you have a demon? How come religion never makes the connection that those are all the people that believe in God? All of Jerusalem, my goodness, Jerusalem. It's a little scary when we replace it with proper spiritual thing. Christians say, don't you have a demon to Messiah's people with their works? And they could say it too. People have done that. The Pharisees did so openly. There's nothing to do against any one individual. It's a harlot, nothing is what it looks like on the outside. The reality is something else. The harlot is a bunch of people saying they believe. And it's Jerusalem is a harlot. And it always was. It's Genesis to the end. I mean, his people couldn't do it, and neither could we. So then the teaching is that there's many, many people out there that say they believe, like we read there. Pretty scary words that come out of Messiah's mouth as a teaching of what people are doing with their hearts, not what they say. You say you believe in Abraham, the Elohim, the God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses. You don't know him. Your father's the devil, and his works you will do. Then they sought to kill him, which is spiritual murder, which is works of the devil, proving that they were doing right there what he says they will do, and they don't think they are doing that. It's crazy. It's so blind. Someone should be begging for the Creator to open their eyes and get them out of this nasty darkness, because that's what we'll do. That's what it's done in the past, but that's what it will continue to do if it doesn't seek the Creator with all its mind, heart, and soul. Of which, if someone does that on what that actually means, which is from the heart always and not with lips, he will answer. Evidence that they just might have his spirit, because the carnal man can't do that. So we would say, do this, test yourself. Can it do it? It's so, the Creator's power is so powerful that no matter what anyone in this world says, if they're still carnal, religious or not, it cannot seek the Creator with all its heart and soul from the heart for real. It can't do it. Can't do it. Proving they don't have that free will that God gave them. It's quite the delusion. The devil is saying free everywhere. Their God, the God of this world, says free will, free, 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 because it's in slavery. It needs to make a cover for what it really is. That's what masquerading, that's his specialty, as I've seen, and people are doing it. And it's what everyone's done, and we need to get out of this sick masquerade, start becoming I am what I am, like the Father's image. No masquerading, just say it how it is for real, which will always look wicked to the wicked, because they're enemies of the Creator. Everything that's good and true and that comes from the Creator will be wickedness towards the wicked. This is why the apostle says to the impure, everything is impure. To the pure, all things are pure. This has nothing to do with breaking all his commandments or not. It's sick what people do, using any chance they get to justify sin. This is called desperately wicked. They do this with his word day and night in the church world that's smoking. Seen the evidence of this with works. They're desperately looking for a scripture to justify their teaching, which is actually evil when it's just dissected, that has a connection to doing evil works in the heart. It's desperately using his word to contradict and justify evil works. That's how it uses his word. This desperately wicked thing that the heart is starts becoming real, and no one will ever see what that verse means and believe it until they see that's what people are doing. Stunningly, amazingly, if we don't know something, we ask. We're not desperately wicked to try to find our own answer and understanding to contradict something else because we're afraid of doing that. Well, that's what the enemies still have to do. They will go and touch things that even the angels of heaven are afraid to touch, and speak evil against things that they would be afraid of even uttering. That's how dark mankind is. It does this with his word, which is more nasty than someone that is not in religion at all, because at least they're not doing that with his word. It's darkness, but it's not as nasty, you could say. When you see this nastiness with his word, and then smiling up there with devil horns, I see it, proudful look and smile as a false prophet. They love the evil and lies they teach, and this can't be seen unless we are shown what evil really is. This is real. People are doing it, and they won't believe it because Messiah is an example of the only born again, firstborn from the dead in the whole world in the flesh at the time. When he speaks truth, it attacks and exposes everyone that doesn't know the Father. So everyone, even if they're divided themselves, will come together and attack Messiah because they're all exposed equally. We don't have a chance in this world. Should be dead long time ago, as a hungry wolves would have ate one sheep long time ago. This is a miracle. He teaches that he does this. Gets them right through the enemy. See ya. Going right through. Nothing they can do about it with their free will. Try and attack Israel and watch what happens. That's the teaching. Well, he's still doing that. but the attacks are tricky. They're spiritual darkness and works. Could lead up to something literal, but that's not the main teaching, no. That's not what happens all the time. The spiritual thing happens all the time, every time, always true. People are always doing that. Calling literal good evil and literal evil good, that doesn't happen all the time. The real thing, the true belief and intent of the heart, which is the only real thing, its clothes are just a cover. That's always happening. That's pretty scary. It always calls evil good and good evil. It's like a riddle. You know, it's not about like someday in the future it's going to happen. It's always been happening. Then you find out, and in the beginning, not knowing, like I didn't understand or know or see whatever I see now, and I won't see something now that I need to in the future, but that's how it's been going. Where reality starts sinking in, wait a second, everyone's my enemy that doesn't know the Father. And then he starts proving it. Talking about real proof, doing absolutely no unrighteousness to someone and they murder you, can't stand you. They don't even have to know you. The devil's always trying to kill you. They'll send people driving gods on the road, in stores and places. Religion, people, don't matter. They have to hate you. You know, this is what's more difficult than that. Where murdering someone's bad, it's as good as dead to someone if someone does that. But when someone does the real spiritual murder in their heart, it's the same thing. If they killed you, it wouldn't be any different. I'm not saying the sin wouldn't increase, but it's the same thing. When you see this, perceive this murder that people do to you, they literally, you're good as dead to them, literally, and they could care a single drop less about you. That's the only thing Messiah's people got coming, increasing. They don't teach this in the church world because that's what they ran from. You know, you can't teach what you do with works on the opposite. Worldly religions in and of the world, connected to the world and the ways and beliefs of this world. What did they think? That they could change the Creator's prophecy that the harlot rides the beast? She's no different than the beast. The harlot are his people specifically that say they believe, and not anybody else. And the beast is the rest of the world and its kingdoms, you know, where a carnal man actually believes like righteous kingdoms, good, that starts slipping away. It's not that we were any different, but you start perceiving it's all wicked and dark. There is no righteous nation. Yeah, but Jerusalem, King David, right, Jerusalem. One Jerusalem, and those are his people now. Spiritual Israel. The nations of the world are all wicked. No one's going to, spiritual Israel scattered all over the place. She's the people, and the people are scattered everywhere. What literal nation? It's not about a literal nation right now. There's no literal kingdom. The kingdom is within. Believing things to come, but these things haven't come yet the way that it will, the fullness of it, where his people are gathered together and they're actually a kingdom. You know, people will deny this because it's truth. Anything that's actually true and touches truth, carnal man starts to hate instantly. So they're desperately wicked, you know. Nation shall not rise against nation. What's a desperately wicked man do with that? Well, it's a problem. So what's the devil tell him to do? A very simple scripture, of which evidence has been in all of existence, that's never happened. A nation means one man that joins my religion, and he puts down his literal sword and gun against another man who's joined my religion, and they literally teach that a nation's definition is one person that puts their literal gun down as if that's the actual sin. I mean, this is abomination. It's stupid. So stupid. He makes them stupid, and there's nothing they can do. I mean, Someone's got to appreciate this, where you don't believe in their damnable tricks anymore. They're actually stupid. But before we thought they were wise. Maybe some people know things, they're wise. No. Anybody going against the Creator is a blind man. They trying to hide it, and they think no one can see this cover. And when it's exposed as blind, because He's giving us sight, not because we're good, it trembles and fears. It never thought anyone would spot how stupid it is. It's desperately wicked. Does these things on purpose. It knows it does evil. Every person knows they do evil. They just can't admit it. And what I've seen consistently with works of the heart is whatever someone is, they're forced to judge you as exactly that. Just happened the other day, perfectly, real bad, even through texting. The devil knows. Now it's crazy what I've seen. Someone never seen or anything before, never spoke to them or whatever, and it's all of a sudden the devil rages through a text. I'm like, oh, here it is. I know what's going on. You have to be real careful in the situation, because this could be someone that might believe in the future, and this is why this is happening. It should never have done this, man. It doesn't make any sense. It's like the words that you write down through the text has some kind of power, because it's the Father's power right there. It's not us. There's something weird going on that I'm seeing that can't be explained except through His word, and there being an actual Creator and an actual enemy. Because is it the Creator who tempts people to do evil? I read the exact opposite. Where does this lust and idea and desperation, like it knows something somehow, where does it come from? Well, that's the question. From the enemy. I'm seeing its power, its tricks, and I'm also seeing its stupidity, though, compared to the Father. It's stupid. The more someone grows in Messiah, the more of this works and evidence proves His word for them, for themselves. It won't be proof for anyone that's attacking them. It'll never be proof for them. They're still resisting. And as long as someone's prideful and resistant, He resists them. Righteous judgment as what someone is doing and believing. He sends it back on them. They're resisting good and hate good, while the Father resists them utterly, as He resists the proud. All those who are actually prideful and in a constant state of unrepented pride don't know the Father and are blind, have no truth in them. They will attack and hate Messiah's people just as much as anyone else, no matter what their cover is, no matter what their specialty is, no matter what religion, science, evolution, God, anything. It doesn't matter. They do the same work. To the light, to the Father, it persecutes. Not that it can actually do that to Him, but nevertheless, Messiah is an example of being persecuted and killed and attacked by everyone. And there's nothing more bitter than being attacked by His own people, that He came to give good news, to have nothing but good intentions for them. And they're running after them because they care about themselves and their own doctrines of demons and traditions more than anything else. To expose their doctrine is to expose their image, and they're protecting their image. So they would rather kill someone than seek truth. And everyone in its own ditch and its own division in this world protects that image. How dare you say this against me or someone I love, a God I worship, a sports person, someone in Hollywood? How dare you say anything against my God I worship? So you see this garbage on the YouTube all day long, everywhere, everyone. And when you see so-called good where it's looking smooth, even that's nasty to me, because I know it's not real. It's only false gods with their opinions lining up with someone else's, and then it draws them together. But this whole thing is still darkness. Through pride, it gets together, thinking it's better and whatever. And this thing is better over here and this is better than that. So even what looks sort of okay on the outside is nasty too, because it's not real. And it has to do with just what people so-called believe, their traditions, whatever they value. When that's exposed, they come attacking. They can't do anything else. You could even see it through writings on YouTube and whatever else, whatever other social media that I personally don't have besides this thing here. Can't even read the comments anymore hardly. It's just getting hard. It's a good thing. It's getting harder and harder to me to read like any random thing. Like it's just a bunch of people murdering each other constantly. But when they hear truth, they'll say we're the murderers, and there's no works to prove it. What works? What evil intention against them? They never have anything to say. So because there's no proof, off they go murdering Messiah. And I keep saying that is because that's what it's going to look like for his people. Because they're one. You know, off they go murdering some other believer in this world. They don't got anyone else except the Creator, Messiah, and a few people that they know exist somewhere in this world. One in spirit, attacked by the world, which is one in darkness, one in there believing the false prophet and the beast that's to come, that is and was, you know, and all its messengers in the lake of fire right now, smoking spiritually. It's already begun. Like the rewards have begun already for those that want to do the Father's will. To say that they're not receiving anything or any rewards now is an abomination. It's already true and begun. Therefore, the other side of this has also started and has been true. You know, the lake of fire judgment in Gehenna has already started burning. That someone's either in lake of fire or they're not. Lake of fire for the devil and all the messengers to utterly consume the adversaries, you know, and to consume anything that's wicked. Someone could perceive and understand this if they themselves are actually changing. They see the wicked being burned out. They know what this thing is for the future, that there's no escape. He's going to do something like he's doing to his people, not wipe them off the map or torture them forever. Just literal torture, not unending. He's going to burn out the wicked in everyone. There just might be an actual destruction at the end on earth. It doesn't change the fact about what this judgment is. Just might manifest that the wicked are uprooted because it always was true, you know, so then it will finally be true, actually. Uprooted and twice dead. Dead spiritually and then dying, literally. It's like being dead. And then will die. All his prophecy is like was, is, and is to come. Anyone that breaks those three things must not have understanding, must not be seeing what the spiritual meaning for the prophecy that is right now when they choose one out of the three as a teaching to sell. You know, is to come only in a literal way, must not know what it means spiritually right now, which means to not know the Father at all. To do away that they themselves are enemies and a devil and a false prophet and the beast and the prophet, false prophet. That's what all the false prophets are called. False prophets. People are called that. They are each one individually is the beast and false prophet. Given in letters to trip up those that don't want the meaning, and then given spiritual meaning for those that ask for the spiritual meaning. So what they read, they see something else on what it means. But a carnal man will say, I don't literally read it like you're saying. What it's constantly doing. It has no authority to give what it means because it didn't receive from the only one that can give it. So it leans on its own understanding, which is a command not to do. No one's following that. Why would they quickly go and say, my pastor says this, when Messiah says this? Well, let me go check my pastor, says somebody in Jerusalem. What do you mean? There he is. The Father's in him. Must be against him. Yes, must be against him. What's their heavenly shepherd say? Well, they never go to that. They go to their earthly shepherd that only wants to rule and control them and use them like a whore gets used. Next. That's what's going on spiritually. It paints them out to be pretty evil. Well, it is. It's what's going on. Oh, we never do that because they make sure that they look like they don't do that. They think they're okay and in the clear now. Oh, you can't prove we do that because the only proof to a carnal man is literal natural things. Therefore, saying you use someone like a whore, they'll all come against you and say you're the evil one for even thinking that, to protect themselves because they know it's true. They get nervous. The only reason they talk back is to cover exactly what they are. It happens over and over again. You could watch them in their slavery. People, anybody, and watch them desperately try to put evil on you because they're protecting themselves. Whatever they put on you, it's exactly what they are. Watch them in their slavery, having to do that, forced to do evil to protect themselves. This is universal. Go and seek out. That's the wrong word. Go and search all things and find out how true the Creator is. Every single person is doing this. That's an enemy still. They will put dirt on you. They will attack you and say exactly what they are. They don't even realize what they're doing. And people will, do what they did to Messiah. So they'll try to find some kind of sin. Desperately wicked. To find sin on purpose, which is evil. It's an evil work. To try to force someone to be evil, find evil, throw mud on them, then find it. This is called desperately wicked, spiritual. None of those things count for evil to the blind. I could say it, someone could say it over TV channel and all the world's listening. Okay, maybe if you tell them what they do, they'll stop. No, they won't. They'll do it again and again after even hearing it because the Father blinds them. Wrath comes in. They forget the words. The word is taken from them by a bird. And they'll do it again and again, proving the Father's power, proving we can't do anything about it too. With any kind of power directly, you can only pray that the Father opens up eyes. That's it. No, Messiah save anyone in the flesh. He's the perfect example for all things. They don't teach this in the church world. So neither can all those false prophets save anyone. Hypocrites, snakes, just like he called them. How many people believe because of what Messiah said and receive the Spirit because of what Messiah said in the flesh? None. You never know who's being led up to, maybe follow him a little bit and being led up to it to receive the Spirit. Messiah is only intended to receive the Spirit from Father and has nothing to do with self ruling over someone. There's the right way and then there's the wrong way, and they both look pretty similar on the outside. The enemy uses the thing that looks similar to attack it and say you are exactly what they are. every time without fail. It does nasty, evil things constantly that it can't perceive and doesn't see as evil. It actually sees it as good. So when they protect the flock from like somebody coming in their synagogue, for example, I'm just saying, if it were to happen, and they do this wickedness and this nasty thing that the person can see, and then they get them out of there and get their guards to take them out. They protected the flock from truth. They made themselves look like they care by doing wickedness. They actually murdered truth and protected the flock from truth, meaning they're doing evil to them, but it looks right? Looks good. So that's all that counts. All that counts in religion, as long as it looks the part. Nasty. Snakes shed their skin. After it comes out of its skin, it's still a snake. That's the devil's new name. That's the devil going away and coming someone new with a new name in Hollywood. It's still a snake. It can't do anything different than the picture. That's the power of the Creator, where there's the real thing, a new name, a new person receiving a spirit, new man, for real, with a new name. And then there's the devil's way that has to make it look like that. Every little detail, he's got to copy it and make it look like it, but it never is the real thing. So then it comes out of its skin, out of the old, and here's the new. Guess what? It's still a snake. That's where the trick is spotted as actually 180 and evil, but it tries to look like the real thing, and it can't ever actually be the real thing. I see these things done. They do this all the time in this world. Nasty things like, it's such a spiritual, weird deception. It's like, who's telling them to? It's their father, the devil, telling them to. When they get together in meetings, they don't even know what they're doing. They have no clue. Literally just, okay, yes, sir, devil, yes, sir. And they go do it without even thinking that's what happened. And just like I read that they get together, you know, you could read about it. People will get together to go and attack someone in secret places, in darkness. They tell you who they are constantly in the movies too. They always work in darkness. They always have other people doing their killing because they're cowards. And false prophets and leaders of religion are also cowards. Anybody that hates truth is a coward and runs from the light because it's darkness. I can't believe how much this world hates truth. It's astonishing. And because they don't believe in religion and the harlot, they'll say, are you God? They never believe you can know truth and have it. That's why they attack someone that is speaking as if they know something, because they do. They're not guessing about it. They didn't get it from some man. Just like Messiah got teaching from the Father, authority and truth from the Creator. What are you, God? That's what they asked him. You know, anyone can read it. They never believe that you receive. If they attack the very thing, teaching that the Father gives and does the works and tells us where to go and what to do, if you attack that and say, what are you, God? You know, it's offending them. Obviously, they never believed it, right? They exposed themselves in front of our eyes. And it's never proof because they're blind. It's proof to us. We could just watch in astonishment as they wonder and marvel after their father, the beast, and everything that's beastly, and prove to us constantly with their works and their contradicting doctrine that they prove they don't believe. And they walk away smiling with that devil smirk with a wink, walking away thinking they're wise and they did good works by killing you, by murdering you and doing evil in their heart. They literally believe it's good, literally believe they're good for doing evil. Can't even stress it enough. Not out in the open. Cowards aren't out in the open like Messiah. That's why we read that. I speak out to you in the open, in the daylight. He said, you know, when he gave whatever he gave. truth. They did all their nasty things in the dark, just like a robber steals at night. It's a little more convenient. So they don't know when they do things because they're in the dark. They do their doctrine and their teaching in the dark. Everything they say is never what it actually means. That's doing works in the dark where people can't see what your intention is. They could read this over and over in the New Testament and Scripture, all these teachings, and never know what it means. They never cared about truth, never asked, never repented for doing all that evil. So they marvel and wonder after the beast. It's like a spiritual power where marveling, like literally, is like in wonder. It's like a wondering and marveling. Wow, this is so good. And then you like throw out your hands like a zombie and follow after it. It's scary because that's exactly what I see. Not literally on the outside, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm seeing the works of that scripture, spiritual. It's that powerful and strong, and it looks like that to me. I'm just sharing. Obviously, enemies aren't going to believe any of this. How could they? They would what? Expose themselves as marveling and wondering after the beast? How could a false prophet and religion believe that for themselves? They have to protect their image, which is to be in slavery, always covering and protecting self's image of the beast, image of their father, the devil, instead of the image of our creator, spiritual image, and his works being done in us. They have to protect their image that they are, which is the image of the beast, spiritual. This is the image of the beast, to have the devil as father and do all his evil works. Makes the person do evil and evil. This is what Messiah was born and raised up by the Father to do, is crush the devil's head and the serpent's head. When you crush the snake's head, you crush all the evil that it does. You can't cut off its tail. You got to crush its head. That's what it looks like if we were to paint the picture of what it is to overcome sin and death and the works of the devil. Step on his head. But the snake bites the heel. It hurts it, but it can't take it down. And the Father protects it from poison. Because his people, his disciples, are told, go out and everywhere. And when they bite, their poison won't kill you. Devil's poison, when they bite, won't kill you, because you would have to kill the Father first. Messiah in heaven, the spiritual reality of all the pictures we see that Messiah in the flesh was preserved for us to see and read. These spiritual realities of all those things. In the flesh, he saved no one. So in the flesh, we save no one. What can Messiah do in the flesh? Well, he can have disciples follow him for a while, maybe a lot, like we read. Most fall away, and then some will be led up to receive the Spirit. It's like a giant story of where we are, where it starts with Adam and Eve all the way, to the end there in Revelation. Story for who and what people are and where we are right now, and that we're one of these two things, either of the Father or of the other father, the devil. Set with their mind on earthly, worldly things because they don't perceive anything to come, anything heavenly, anything good. So it has to have, when someone's in darkness, it has to love the worldly things and set the things on the earth, and then take words to cause confusion and say, this is what grace is, when someone shoots nicely in the basket, because the devil loves games. Put away childish things. How come they don't want to do that? These games represent playing these evil snake games, spiritual, which is something like playing games, like a child playing games. It's time to grow up and put away these childish things, which is evil. What's a child do? Lies, confusion, makes things up, plays games, tricks people. It's what carnal people do. So the devil rewards games, millions of dollars for playing games. No surprise to me. The devil also rewards those that do wickedness, spiritual gains, meaning in exchange for their soul, gain more worldly things, and then in a deeper destruction in a lake of fire. When someone receives too much too quickly, it's more like a merciful act to just have them die pretty quickly too. Better to die at 27 than live like in the devil's kingdom like that for 70, 80 years. And then these people out on the internet world will say, these people saved me. No, it didn't. It's a trick. It's making you more into a beast, saving your beast, making you feel alive in the beast, in the devil. Further and further away from the Father, more and more hardened like Pharaoh. That's how the world's saving people. That's how religion's saving people. Right into Gehenna, it's saving people. Their saving is evil, but it looks good, right? It looks like the real thing. Look, there's people out there and they're sent missionaries saving people. These are good people. Everyone knows of them. Look at all the people we saved. Boast in the flesh, boast in others. We saved 200 this month. Now, you're not supposed to blow the trumpet for good works. Isn't that evidence of being a hypocrite? Messiah has a word for that, and it's scary accurate, and the church world cannot teach it because it's evidence of doing the exact opposite of what it means. Not a single denomination, and I'm confident of it, can actually know and understand and actually live what he said here about saving people until they come out of her. Come out of her, my people. You travel land and sea to make one convert. Yeah, you're desperately wicked to look like the right thing, but it's doing evil. Travel land and sea to make one convert, and when he's converted, they're converted all right. You people, you Pharisees, make him twice the son of Gehenna fire, hell fire, as yourself. That's what you did. Who believes that in religion? And we read over and over, these are the many. There's many of these. Where's the church world's evidence of this many? It doesn't care. It doesn't care. It doesn't even see that division is bad and it's divided. It can't perceive it. You remind them of division, fury, and flame. That's torment to remind them of something true, that they're in a lie. So because of this torment day and night, a real reality, a judgment, they have to do evil to try to cover this torment, but it can't actually cool it off. One drop of water, please, says the church world. This is the Father torturing people forever. No, this is them living that parable. Pretty scary. It's in torment and needs one drop of water, but someone wouldn't believe even though someone was raised from the dead. Pharisees and religion can't believe even if it was raised from the dead for proof. Still wouldn't believe. And then that's why an evil, adulterous generation seeks a sign like that. No sign is given except the sign of Jonah, and Jonah dies. That's your sign, people. Wake up, religion. You're going to die. You're going to drown like Jonah. That was part of the thing that was revealed that I didn't see before, where what is this sign? The sign of Messiah dying, 3 days, 3 nights. I saw that. He said that this is the only sign given to them, the enemies. Well, why? We got to take Jonah's life as a whole that we could read. That's not all of it. Jonah dies. Jonah's buried underwater, and then the seas are calmed. Only when the man disappears and dies does these spiritual storms and judgments calm down. Messiah just tells it to calm down because he can do what's righteous. That's why. Father's righteousness. All these pictures, carnal people are still looking for those things, like signs like that. They don't believe. I'm very confident that anybody in Messiah could go to any denomination of their choice and just freely speak whatever comes from the Spirit, and they will be persecuted instantly. Maybe even shot and killed if someone's packing, like out of uncontrollable lust for getting rid of them. It's shot and killed spiritually for real, which means that you walk away with those people not thinking you are a good for nothing, worthless dung pile that deserves to die to their hearts. Never forget it. That's what an evil man is. That's what it is. It's good as murder. It's good as Cain killing Abel, because his offering wasn't right. What, the literal offering? Yeah, it's what we read. So then what? Cain is jealous because Abel's offering, literal offering, is accepted because it's right. It's full. Something's full and right about it. Cain's offering is wicked because it's not right. It's mixed up. And it gets jealous for Abel doing the right thing. You could do too, right, Cain? Sin knocks at the door. Do what's right and you'll be accepted too. Little riddle, spiritual riddle, a trap for the wicked. It would be true if they did that. It's never a lie. They can't do it, though. The reason why Abel does it is because of the teaching, the Father doing the works. So it can offer up a right offering. And now Cain doesn't want to submit to the Father so that it can have a right offering and be accepted. It wants to go its own way, and then it's jealous when it sees that Cain is accepted and it's not. So it kills him. He kills him. Cold blood, and the blood cries out because of judgment. You can't get away with that. Everything you sow, you're not going to reap, Cain. This is too much, too hot, too much to bear, too bad. You did wickedness. You deserve it. So then what the people, the worldly things they do, I'll make more money, I'll buy a car, I'll get more riches and build more barns for it. And they never get the wages that someone that would do good works gets and is satisfied. It does worldly things thinking it's going to get wages, and it doesn't. That's what the teaching is for Cain. Everything he does, his own works, his own sowing, his own planting, doesn't reap the way it's supposed to. That's a hard time. Well, that's what everyone's experiencing in this world. Hard time. They just have to pretend they're not the best they can. Start having confidence in this. Start seeing the true in reality, because the more he gives us, the more we see the cover. But, if we're not given anything, we can't see the tricks. The more he gives us, the more we see through. Wow, this was a cover all along, a trick, fakery, pretending, masquerading. They're all in destruction because he's a righteous judge. There's nobody that's not in destruction for doing evil continually. And here's some of the works that they have to do because of this judgment and punishment. And then you see it. It's all the same. Different things, different jobs, different businesses, different whatever. It's all the same, though. No rest for the wicked. Well, the wicked say that, like with a smile. I've seen it said, yeah, no rest for the wicked. It has no clue what that means. And it doesn't believe it's wicked when it says that. Why does it say it? You bet that's why it said it, as a cover to look good, serpent wisdom. Someone says that, makes them look like they're not wicked, makes them look like they know, have knowledge. Give them truth and watch them murder. Watch them stab the knife in the chest 30 times. Lots of blood, lots of bloodshed and murder. What else is this world going to pump out? It pumps out who and what it is. And it's no surprise that the devil, so prideful, pumps out who and what it is all day long and then sells it, sells evil, and makes money off of it. Sick. Not only is all that stuff should be burned for the intention it's doing it, it actually makes good money for selling evil. And its only intention is to make money and gain and more in this world. That's all. Take away the gain and money and fame and status completely, and they never do what they did. There's no point. What's the value? What's the gain? So we won't do it. So then everyone that does things, it's always been for self, and it doesn't realize that until the Father starts telling them that that's what you've been doing all your life, for self. And now he's going to make his people do things that have zero worldly benefit, and no one believes them, and they get murdered for it. And I'll still make my people do it anyway. It's going to be an utter contrast to prove the devil has no heart and all his sons have no heart. They only did stuff where they could perceive some kind of gain now and in the future. And fame is gain. Fame and power is something, even if it's not money direct, exactly. It leads to it most of the time. Or the spiritual power and fame and recognition is something that people seek. You take away all these things and it never did any so-called good. It only did these things because it's doing things for self gain. That's it. It enjoys being the ruler of the sheep, of which there is no such actual thing, except Messiah being the head, but nobody here is somebody's head ruler. It's likened to a body that's being built, a building, but nobody's some kind of control, ruler, master over one believer over another. You got to subdue and submit and bow down. How does that work when every person in Messiah is supposed to get below the other person? And no servant is greater than his master. And the master got down low and says he came to serve. If that's the highest the master went, how high can servants go if they're no greater? So then when this thing is done, it's evil, it's corruption, it's deceived. Nobody's actually above and going higher. When you see that, it's in sin and delusion, it's breaking those words with its heart. It believes it is above. Otherwise, it wouldn't have this position, right? The position that they have proves something to themselves. And it did all the works for it and did everything itself. The Father deceived them utterly. You want a king and a false prophet? I'll give you one, and we can read about it and get it. Part of a judgment and deception is getting what they want, to trap them in their own deception. So we'll see this consistent judgment then, right? If it's true, we'll see the consistent works and proof for it in the world. But so often someone gets what they seek and want and desire. What if someone seeks the kingdom with all their heart? Maybe they'll receive it. And then there'll be works and evidence for it and change for it. Yes, the heart has to want the right things. That is a reality. We can't say Messiah didn't want the right things. That would be a lie. We know that they have to be born again first, though, to even want that. Messiah received the Spirit from birth. And he can utterly save. Made an example for every other believer, no matter what time we're in, or age, or generation. Nothing changed. His truth is the same. Messiah, the Father, same. His truth is the same, and carnal people are the same. Every word is true because Nothing changed. This is what it was before. This is what it is again. This is what mankind has done. This is what they will do, because they can't change. They can talk about it. See, they can sound wise, and yet no actual knowledge from above and change in the heart. We should expect that the world will say wise things and sound right. Watch out for the heart, though. There's no change, no understanding. Otherwise, how could we even read that what mankind has done, he forgets, and so he will do again. And whatever it does, there's nothing new under the sun. Not a single drop is new. Some people, the way they can try to go against that truth when it's actually given with belief is mix technology with it. It's stupid. Scripture's not talking about that. Mankind's heart didn't change a drop. He's not modern. He's as modern as Cain and Abel. Nothing changed. Spiritual judgment makes the beast hide in the dark even further. That is what is happening, and it keeps pushing the darkness back until it's going to be revealed completely. The judgments make something dark go into darkness further to separate it. So like when you put a flashlight on some beast out there, it runs into the night just like people. It doesn't know what this is. It scares them. It's why they like these symbols in this world. Certain birds and owls, because they're a night creature, and spiders and snakes and serpents eating its own tail to live. That's what they do. They're speaking of themselves. They eat people to live, which is a lie because they don't have a life. They just think they do. They feed the beast. That's what's alive. And in order for the beast to stay alive, it has to murder people. These things are all true. It's a trap. If someone's against our Father, they have to do wickedness to keep the beast alive. And it destroys them when they do it more and more spiritually. It's such an utter trap and trick because they want to trick and do evil. The Father, as a judgment, eye for eye, tricks them. No, he can't do that. That's evil, says the 5-year-old to the 40-year-old father, you know. You give that picture and people get angry right away because they know that picture, they could agree with it, but they don't agree when it's about the creator of the heavens and earth. Suddenly, well, it's the opposite for our creator, right? Because he's Satan. That's what their works are proving, that their God they're talking about is Satan. From below, where they put the creator beneath earthly father and son example, instead of way above. See, when they say God, talk about their father, the devil, religion, all of them. If it wasn't their father, they would know the evil they're doing and lies, and they're desperate, wicked to contradict scripture constantly. So we got one Jerusalem back then, one Jerusalem in all the world, one literal city. And that's where his people are, literally, you know, in this area. Division is evidence of judgment and sin. That's why Israel's scattered. But this is why all the world's divided, because it's in utter sin and rebellion. 13. The 13th disciple replaced the rebellious one. And it takes a 13th month to keep the time, the seasons in line right now. But it wasn't so from the beginning. But something's out of time. You know, the heavens are out of time, meaning spiritually that mankind is out of time. He needs to get back in time. 12. 360 and 360, a perfect circle. I don't know of any greater physical evidence of something that's true, or at least one of them. Like something about the time being off 365 and some change, where there's evidence it was 360. It used to be that way, and there's evidence that all the nations changed their calendars way back somewhere in the 700s, maybe BC. Wouldn't they know? No, the devil is always covering up truth. It's desperately wicked. The last thing it's going to do is say there's evidence that the Creator did something. Last thing it would ever do. So we shouldn't expect the world to teach truth. It doesn't. We shouldn't expect the world to teach that the earth is a firm foundation that cannot be moved. So what is it going to do? Spinning and moving, hundreds of thousands of miles per hour. That's where they are spiritually, moving. That's why they teach that literal thing. You know, it's like obvious. Firm foundation like a rock doesn't move. So spiritually, we end up becoming the Father's image, which is like a rock that doesn't move, like his foundation of the earth that doesn't move either. Because if that's messed up, then how the spiritual would be also. Not. There's no contradictions like that in his creation. I haven't seen one yet. No, I won't. There's no trees growing down. They're all growing up. That 50-50 monstrous crap is from the world. Always trying to make a mutation because it's perversion of what's true. That's why. It will go after the most ugly thing, which is 50-50, and not utter darks. The devil never does that. No, the nasty 180 thing of light and truth is mixing 50-50 stuff. That's the nastiest thing. So that's what the devil does. Evidence of this is everywhere that I can see. Mutations and mixing, spiritually and even literally. Father doesn't like mixing, won't accept it. It doesn't actually stand. You know, in Revelation, who can stand? Well, no one can stand if they're doing evil. They're in the dark, fallen. Maybe they're all literally fall and burn up at the end. Because when we read prophecy, that prophecy is not a lie. We read it word for word that the earth is burned and there's few men left. That's the prophecy as it's written. The valuable thing is to know what any given prophecy means spiritually for us right now. But that prophecy is still true. We can say it's a lie. The prophecy won't happen. And of course, amazingly, in his word, there is no prophecy of people burning in a literal fire forever in some other life. No, but everything has to do with right now, with his people. Blessings or cursings right now. And the Gehenna started, or the reward started now. We learn this fire represents something. It cleanses sin, burns it up. This is not going to be carried over into the great judgment. That was the natural picture. The spiritual meaning is what it means, because he's not burning his people in a pot full of molten, stuff and just like dipping them and just, it's happening spiritually like that. The Messiah wasn't set aflame and burned by the Father, literally tormented like this with real fire. What value and benefit that even have? It doesn't change someone. You could say it consumes them, yeah, but that doesn't, burning alive doesn't change your heart, literally. If anything, it becomes more wicked. It's going to want revenge if it stops burning. It doesn't change the heart. On the contrary, it's even more dark. If it stops burning, it's going to seek revenge. So then spiritually, he's consuming his people, the wickedness. So he will consume all the wickedness of everyone that ever lived in a lake of fire, which is a body of water, lake, and fire. The world's flooded once, and then it's burned once. That's its end. Baptized and then burned, spirit with fire. Messiah knows this will lead to something good. That's why he says, I wish the earth was already kindled with fire. This is not Messiah wishing and getting hopeful about people being tortured for all eternity. That's what religion has to say that he was saying. They have to. Do they realize that? The Messiah said right that he can't wait until all people, the majority that never believed, are tortured in fire for all eternity and burned and mercilessly tortured. He can't wait till the thing is kindled. Pretty amazing. It's a different Messiah. It's a different Messiah. That's a monstrous Messiah. That's the devil's Messiah that he has to counter. This anti-Messiah is looking something like the true Messiah, but he's 180 though, for real evil. So maybe the devil wants a man, an anti-Messiah, to prove everyone will marvel and wonder after the beast. I don't know. Well, I'm not saying I don't know, like I have no clue on this. I mean, I know that's what's happening within spiritually. Each person anti-Messiah before they're not. Religious or not, anti-Messiah. Darkness must hate good and light, There is no partiality with the cover, clothes. The nakedness is all the same. His word is amazing. It's amazing because of who he is and his power, not because of just the words by themselves, but because of the reality of the words, the proof that when someone's stripped, it's the same nakedness as anyone else. Take the cover off and let's get to the real thing here. That's what Messiah can't wait for. Strip all this nasty devil masquerade cover, wicked, so that it can be consumed, so that that person can realize what it was, what it is, and be changed. Like his people are now, realizing that that's what they are, monsters, beasts. Ecclesiastes 3:18 is about. This is the creator of the heavens and earth speaking about mankind. He would like to show them, test them, that they themselves are beasts. And he's proving it day and night. Even though darkness doesn't agree with the creator at all, he's still proving it. For those that can see it, the proof is evident. A little fire, a little testing, and it fails the test and it falls and stays. The wicked they're revealed also. But to manifest and actually believe self is a beast is the revelation for self, that it actually believes it. Wicked don't believe that yet. What's worldly wisdom do? What's the snake do? Yeah, I'm a no good drunk, or it might say certain words, whatever, It's like hurting itself because of its own sin. Truth comes to that person's way. Here we go again. Murder. Never actually believed truth, never actually believed any or understood any of it. Can't trust anything anybody says. Nothing. Zero. If someone's words match their works, then those words are good and clean. Otherwise, if the works don't match what they're saying, those words are echoing through time of worthlessness, just lies. That's going to be, as I fully believe and see, revealed. Every secret thing will be revealed. Why do we read that? Every outward thing will be revealed. The outward things are already revealed. That's not it. The outward thing's not the real thing anyway. So then every secret thing inside the heart, every thought, every sin, every law and commandment breaking in the heart, every single one all its life, man, that's a lot of sin, will be revealed. It's a lot of sin to pay for. Hard time. Maybe those in prison, this is the beginning of their prison and paying for their sins, you know. And then those getting out of prison is the beginning of being completely freed from prison at the end, where those that are in prison now, the reality of that prison will be manifested, and those that are getting out, the reality of that will also be manifested. It's already started. All his word would be worthless if it wasn't true now, if it wasn't had no meaning now. People are he came to get the captives free. People on earth in spiritual prison, not underground where hell is or some nonsense, where the living Jesus was alive while he's dead, 50-50 garbage that can't be mixed. No one's alive and dead at the same time. Alive as in good, and dead also bad at the same time. What is that? What would that look like as a natural picture? It doesn't exist. It's either alive or dead. Spiritually alive or dead. It's monstrous. Worthlessness. What the heck does underground and some hellhole that they created have to do with right now? Makes me angry. The teaching is stupid. It's just doctrine, man. It's gotta be discerned, this nasty foul spirits of why it's doing these things, the nasty foul spirits of religion. It's just its own doctrine that it's made up and traditions that it cares about. It doesn't actually care about anything that his word means spiritually for us. It's only doing what a devil can do, masquerade with a false intention. Why does someone do something? That's the intention. The intent of the thoughts of the heart is only evil continually, man. I'll be jumping up to the clouds if I find someone that actually sees and believes that with their heart in the flesh. This would be a miracle, a monstrous, huge miracle. Well, monstrous in like a good way, but it would be a huge miracle. That a bad tree can only produce bad fruit, cannot produce good fruit. Someone that actually knows what that means and believes it with their heart. Wow. I would love to see that in the flesh, you know, maybe just one. Because anybody that's against our Father will not believe that and cannot actually believe that for self and understand it for self. It's an abomination to the wicked that they did anything good, because they're always masquerading, which is pretending to do good. So when you say they never did any good, it should be obvious you take the cover off and there was nothing good, because it pretended the whole time. If it's a masquerade, it wasn't real. All the good it did wasn't real. Makes sense. All the pictures fit proper in their place. It doesn't even contradict natural, and they don't want to hear it. Nobody wants to hear that they're that evil. Have they ever read scripture? It's all the Father's saying that people are. It's not perceived. Adam and Eve, not perceived. Just some weird spirit foul spirit, tradition, doctrine, with the intention to make people get goosebumps and stuff. It has nothing to do with what it means. God was right there in his face, 6 foot tall, breathing into the nostrils of Adam, and everyone's clapping and getting goosebumps. That they were there. Yeah, God was there. That's right, says the preacher man. God, he was there. Talking about worthlessness. Watch their covers. Peel their cover and it's real nasty. Why they do something when it's discerned, the only thing left is nasty. It starts out with seeing a little bit of evil, a little bit of good, saying, okay, this is true for some people. And then the revelation hits, wait a second, there's not a single exception. Everyone is either dark or they're light, and that's it. And I don't know that I've even seen one person say that, even with their mouth, with actual belief and understanding yet. That would be the most offensive thing ever, you know. That's a perfect dividing of the two things. That's what this world constantly does not do. That's why it doesn't teach any of this or believe it, because its works are exactly the mixing. Religion is lukewarm mixing. It's gross. How come they don't believe the pictures, but Messiah vomits them out of their mouth? They say we're evil. You quote scripture that Messiah says that we could read, and it makes them angry because they just realized that they said Messiah's words preserved there is evil, and then they still don't believe that they've done evil, even after proving that they hate Messiah's words themselves. You can't say that. Evil person. Walk in his footsteps. Doesn't that mean follow him? Like, be like him, just like him. Follow the Lamb, walk in the footsteps. What does that mean? Literally walk behind someone. That's the meaning. To be like him, to do the same things. Walk in his footsteps. Have the same mind, which is to start becoming like Messiah because he's in the Father's image. Same mind of Messiah. Renewing of the mind, because the mind is perverted. It's like a feeling of hopelessness to some degree. In that, not actual hopelessness, but like giving up understanding and believing that this is how it's got to be, and it's only getting worse. Hopeless in that kind of way, like hopeless in believing some lies that will break his word or something that religion does in a delusion. It does these things in a delusion, meaning it's not real, where it's found the best of both worlds, reality, the world and religion and all these things, and it keeps its mind off of anything real because it's tormented day and night. Therefore, that all its thoughts, all its works are all evil because it's tormented by good day and night. Do people understand what that means in the religion? The devil and his messengers, they're tormented day and night in the presence of the Lamb. The presence of goodness and light, they're tormented day and night, meaning that all of their works and thoughts are dark and evil because they're tormented by all that's good, meaning there's no good left except evil and dark thoughts and lies and deceit. Its mouth is like an open tomb, grave, and poison The lips are, like we read there, painting a really disgusting picture. Someone opens their mouth, it's a grave. Careful, they'll eat you. And if they eat you, you're going into their grave, death. Demons. Now the devil knows how to present itself for what it is. It's very good at that. Demons, yes, full of demons and foul spirits and evil. So it calls evil good and good evil daily. Killing people, oh, that's good as long as it's for some perverted reason for some country. How come they don't want to seek the kingdom and forfeit this world and all its ways and beliefs in darkness and leave the world dead to bury the dead and handle the dead things? How come? Don't they believe that this will always be evil like this, that they're not going to change it and make it good, that's an abomination to the Father, that religion and man's going to make this world good and peace on earth? What's the intention of the devil? Lots of bloodshed and murder. If peace and good for the world is the cover, then inside is blood and murder. It's coming. It's going to manifest. It's going to be a beast fest. It already is spiritually, but if they start doing this more and more, sudden destruction's not too far. That's who the devil is. Everything he says is a lie. You got to find out the intention. And I mean everything. Every last drop is a lie. What's the intention, the real thing? So when this world speaks, don't listen to the words. Dig from the Father its intention, why it said the words. That's the real thing. Nothing else. What's the motive? You hear these things. You can't see them when they spiritually have motive to do spiritual wickedness, but they can talk about literal motive for literal carnal things that much man can do. Remember, to the devil, outward evil is wicked. It will say that it's wicked. The devil says evil is bad on the outside. On the inside, it's evil and calls that good. And the outside looks good. It calls that good. And the outside, calls evil evil. This is the world putting people into prison and jail for doing bad stuff outside to make itself look good. That's all. That's the intention. That's what drives the world. Power, money, control. Pulling someone in prison surely gives them wicked joy inside, and they make money for it too. It's got to be that way. Let them do what they want. Let the cops be what they may. They need to be. They have to be. The Creator designed it and made it to be that bad guys pull literal bad and literal evil to sort of like bad stuff cleaning up the bad. It's just a mess, but it's doing what it needs to do. Do good in that way, literal good, and you won't go to prison for doing evil like that. They shouldn't throw you in there for that. That's not the important thing, though. If we're keeping the law in the heart, we would never make it to that level of doing some manifestation of what the evil is inside, like killing someone or stealing or adultery. Or dare I say, break the Sabbath, no. Wouldn't it at least be lining up with the earthly natural things that are lower, if it's truly keeping the heavenly and understands them? What's more bitter than death is that these things can be kept and it's still wrong. It's just that it should be keeping these things if it's really doing them in the heart. But if it looks good on the outside, doesn't mean inside's good. It's just that it should look like that if it really is good inside. See here. one doesn't prove the other in this case. Like, spiritual murder is what he's talking about. So not murdering someone literally doesn't prove they're not doing this wicked thing inside, real murder. But if we're not doing this for real inside, we shouldn't murder someone. And he gave it very simple to me. That's how it is for all his laws. No partiality. Just like that with every one of them, clears up a lot of confusion. Where if we're doing this, it should end up looking like this down there. But if it looks like something down here, doesn't mean it's doing the heavenly thing, because that's the lower thing. It doesn't prove anything by itself. It's just that it should end up looking right if it's doing the real thing. That's all. Why would it eat unclean food if it really knows what it means and is keeping it in the heart? Why would it do that? Keeping it for the right reason. But carnal Jews could keep that and not have a clue what it means spiritually. We got ourselves a very messed and a confused world because of this truth. It's opportunity to wear sheepskin and be a wolf. People take the opportunity naturally. Messiah taught that. They don't like that teaching. Masquerading. It's a wolf in sheep's clothing is masquerading. We could get that if we're taught by the Father, see what it means, even without even hearing those very words come out of Messiah's mouth. Just like that, at least not written down that I know of, but the apostle says those words plainly. Yeah, but Messiah taught it. It's there. And our Creator taught it himself. It's in his word. It's just a matter of being shown. So I think that's all I got right now. I got some guy. Keep going. Okay, I thought he was coming up to my car. It's tiring. It's tiring not hearing anything real from people around me, you know. Or like in spiritual, anything that's true as real. Everything that's on the outside, the sheepskin, it's not real. I don't want what's fake anymore. Is there anybody real out there? I've been asked more than once, randomly, even through text. It's strange. Are you real? Devil doesn't believe it. He doesn't want to believe there's anyone real. Messiah's people. Real. You know, everyone's fake. Anyone that's a wolf in sheep's clothing isn't real. They don't believe real when they see it, meaning when they see any kind of good works from anybody that's doing them. They don't believe that ever existed for real, so they'll persecute it. In destruction, in darkness, wanting to see some kind of hope and light in life with no hypocrisy, so people make it sound like that's what they want. And when they receive it for real, they don't believe it and don't perceive it and persecute it. This is extremely difficult. You know what a lot of people are doing? Guilty of being mixed with the same, but he's shown me and I've come out of it. And always need to keep coming out of it. I don't know what I haven't been given yet. So then look around. It's just a doctrine. There's nothing real with the many. That's what we'll see most of the time, many. But Where is there something real about what sin is and overcoming sin and death, and judged by works alone as the final judgment? That's it. Not but doctrine, not belief. Where are the real? Where are the little shepherds and sheep of the Messiah? I don't find anyone talking about what real sin is, just the masquerade, just the cover. I'm good because I don't shoot people in the forehead with a gun. That's not sin. That's Moses teaching the commandment, which is good. That's what it looks like on the outside. Don't kill someone. How come I never see someone taught by Messiah in this world around me on what real murder is? Not just saying the words, but perceiving it, understanding it, doing it, living example. I don't see this. It's really difficult to believe this is even real. What is this monstrous thing that he's put us in? Where everyone is the same and they're enemies and hate good. And we're supposed to live in this world and not be of it. This is insane. Although it is producing something good, it is still insane and crazy, and difficult. I could see it becoming more and more real, where someone's latter end, their death is better than their beginning, their birth, because it will finally have been over after being hated by the world for years, and then it gets worse. The tribulation gets worse and worse and worse. They must be longing for it at the end for real. And then he gives them more belief that it is real, and it keeps growing. So that by the time their life is over, whatever our end is, they will fully believe at the end and know it to be true. Not that they don't now, but it's just like even bigger, you know. The bigger the faith grows, the more the doubt gets crushed. The righteous will be like those that are planted. They grow and plant and remain. It's already true and will be true. Are we going to see evidence of the world and people breaking his word, where our Father's actually wrong? Where this evil age is somehow good all of a sudden, and it does good, and the nations are good? Not on its own. That is the giant lesson. Man can't do it. Not on its own. We need a king and a kingdom to take over these beastly kingdoms. In your dream, says the snake, not having a clue about anything himself. He only said that because he hates truth and wants to mock it and make fun of it because he's scared of it. You find out that people that look tough, they're all cowards. If you try to look tough, you're automatically a coward and weak. But the weak are actually strong. Carnal world will never actually live that reality and believe it, no matter what words it says. It's never that, as long as it's in unbelief. It will always be the strong are strong when they're actually weak. If the weak are strong, then the strong are weak. Mighty in the flesh? Oh, real weak, in serious deception, a coward. Weak in the flesh, dying to self, giving it up. Strong in spirit, mighty. Those two things could get confused where you say, I thought we're supposed to be humble, not mighty. Two different things. To be spiritually mighty because of the Father, or to be mighty in the flesh, carnal. He makes the weak things and turns them into strong, mighty, to confound the wise, where they actually are overcoming death and the works of the devil itself, which takes bravery and the lack of being a coward. Go up to the serpent and not worry about its bites or anything and crush its head. People are searching for feel-good delusion they want to hear, each in their own ditch. Look around on everywhere. Look around on YouTube. It's what's going on. It's a spiritual, powerful delusion and spell and power. And they're saying a bunch of stupid things, contradictions, darkness, murder, Jesus Christ warriors murdering other Jesus Christ warriors, calling them all kinds of names because they have a wicked heart and do this because of evil, not because of any righteousness or truth. Dare they say Messiah is evil for calling a snake and a serpent? What's evil about that? What's evil about calling something for what it is? Well, they'll say it's evil because they want to guard being exposed. If they could call that evil, then you can't expose them. They do that thing, and it looks like something like the real thing, but it's backwards. Everything's backwards. When the intention of the heart is to hurt someone, to murder, to do away with because it can't stand truth, and then it uses these names, has nothing to do with truth and true intention. When it's calling and exposing something for what it actually is and has no intention to do so for any other reason except truth. This is 180. It's two different things. Wicked can't perceive it. They won't believe it. Only God could call a snake a snake. Is that what they say? Only God could do that. Only God, the God-man Messiah. Only Jesus could do this. Really? Only the Messiah could be Messiah and nobody else be like him? Do they realize what they're saying? They're desperately wicked. What they're actually saying with their heart is calling good evil again and evil good, saying that you can't walk the narrow way and be like actual Messiah. You can't do that. They're guarding truth, suppressing it in unrighteousness, like I read. Everything they do is a lie with the heart, all of it. So I've been told that, I've heard that, you can't do something. They're God with the scripture. They're the actual God, prideful, never asking for truth, but just declaring wickedness from their own understanding, which is to be a God. And it will always be stupid and a lie and wrong as a judgment. I've been told that you can't do what they did. You can't do what the disciples did. There were only 12. You can't be like them. You can't do what they did. By Christians, I've been told that. Isn't that amazing? What are they going to church for then, if they not like Messiah at all? They're not following his footsteps at all. What the heck are they doing there? They're desperately wicked. That's what they're doing there.